All right, so here we're going to go to the PowerPack connection vault. Left click on that. We're going to scroll down along the side till we see bracings. And we're going to take a look at the plate multiple bracings. First of all, we're going to left click on that, say each. I'm going to come into here, and you'll notice I have 6 different profiles here. I'm going to pick each one of them one by one. Left click, right click, left click to select, right click to accept. And keep doing that all the way around. So just like that. Once I'm done, these are all my split bracings. I'm going to right click. If I have a brace that passes through, I can select it or just right click to skip that. And then I need to select a reference bracing. Which one is my reference? And I'll just pick one here and say right click. Now it wants to know what is the plate center. So if you have the center marked where that plate's going to be, you pick it. If not, I'm just going to quickly jump in here, do mid between 2 points like that. And that'll be my plate center. And you can see I'm going to get in here now. The dialog comes up and I get the brace up here. As you go through the settings, you can see you have gusset plate properties. The plate itself can be polygonal, rectangular, or circular. And you'll notice with the rectangular, the direction of the plate. Remember we had our brace to represent what was the reference element. So it's reference to this angle, we get a square plate. You can then set your gusset thickness and your vertical offset if you need. The gusset plate options allow you to come in and say, I need a projection, and you can see on each side of the braces. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So depending on what you're looking for, in this case here, they've only got 1, 2, but if they have a passing element, that will be controlled separate from the broken elements. So here we don't have any passing elements, so there's only one set of values, so 0.5, 0.5, and you can see on each side of the braces now, I get a 0.5 or half inch projection. Weld properties at bracing. I can say, is it bolted? Is it welded? You can see it changes to welds and none. Weld properties for passing bracing. I don't have any. Bolt properties. So in here I can control the size of bolts that get used, what their type is, if the tolerance, the nut and washer, nut and 2 washers, etc. What type of assembly I want with it, and what the assembly location is. Is it on site or in shop? If I have a passing brace, I can do the same thing for that. Distances at split bracings. So number of vertical bolts, how many do you want? You can see I have 2 already. If I put 3, I end up with 3, the plate gets larger, and so on and so forth. Number of horizontal bolts, if I put 2, they come in across. This will not increase the size of the leg elements that were initially selected, but you can add them in if you need. Okay, the inner edge distance. So here we have from the edge of the brace, what you want that to be to the center of the first bolt hole. And then what is the outer edge? So between the edge of the plate and the last bolt hole. And then we have the intermediate distance for the vertical bolts and for the horizontal bolts. So let's see, the vertical bolts are the way we have them in right now. If I put 3 inches, you can see they're going to come out like that. And you can see the plate adjusts as we go along. The bolt distances for split bracing. So if we have an element that passes through, we have the options for that as well. And then library. So if you've created something that you would typically use or something that you use over and over again, you can save your values, edit it, put a name in that you would recognize, whatever you want to call it so that you recognize it, and then say OK. Next time you come in, if you need to use these settings, just select this and it'll adjust what's in here to those settings. Now those were all split to begin with. These ones you can see are not separated. All I did is I ran a brace all the way through and used the command from the Objects tab to separate or split the beams in the middle. Okay. So if I use this command on here now, come back here, and say each, I can say I still have to pick each one and right click. It's very important. If you don't do that, it doesn't work. Okay. Right click, there's no passing brace, and I'll use the top one this time as a reference. Select the plate center. So you can come in, pick where the center of that plate's going to be, and you can see it creates a brace. Very similar to what we had last time. Again, the length of the braces are a little short for 3 bolts, but you get the idea. It's separated them for you, and you can go through and you can adjust that from in here. Okay. So what is the distance from center? So if you don't want it that far out, you can bring them closer together. Then as you go down, you have the same options that you had before, and again, you can adjust or save to library. The last one here, I kept one that's not split, but I split all the rest. So I'm going to have a passing element. I'll do plate multiple bracing, select split bracings each. So I have this one, this one, this one, and this one. These are the ones that are split. Right click, and now I have a passing element. Right click, and which one's the reference? I'll use the one that's not split. Right click, pick the plate center. You'll notice this time the 4 that are split are pulled back. The one that's passing through the middle is not. And when we go through this now, we can come in and we can adjust what type of plate we want again. If I want it rectangular or circular. But the rectangular now, you'll notice it's in line with the reference beam, which goes this way. You have gusset plate options again as before, so if you need to, but you notice that all the projections are now available. So you have 1, 2 for all your split. The ones that are split are 1 and 2, so I could put 0.5 on each of these. That's half an inch, half an inch. For the one that travels through, you have on each side can be different. So I can put 0.5 and 0.5 for one side, and then I can put 3 and 3 for the other, for example. Okay. So this will control what the offset is for each side of that continuous beam that goes all the way through. So you have 3 and 4 on one side, 5 and 6 on the other. Again, you can adjust it. Slope is not great because of the bolt placements, but you can see it did go up and down a little bit. In here now we have, do we want it bolted or welded, right? So if I say welded, now you can see it's just the split brace is being affected. The continuous one is separate. So now we have for the passing brace, is it bolted or welded? Okay. Without the bolts in there, you can see it adjusts. Bolt properties, split bracing, which I didn't put the bolt properties back on, so let me just put that as bolted. Then we come back, you can see now they're going to be available to you, and you can switch to whatever you want. Bolt properties for the passing, separate. And here you can control the type of bolt and size and what have you. Bolt distances. Again, this is for your split bracings. And then we have the bolt distances for the passing brace as well, which you can see in here. You have each side independently, side 1, side 2, and then you can go through and adjust the distance between groups, edge distances, intermediate vertical and horizontal distances, and the horizontal offset. It works the same way as these, but you have individual control over each side. And again, you have the ability to come in and save the values.